Mr. Fishy grinning, so happy that I'm spinning. I'm smiling on the label, cause I'm going to your table. So you can slice and dip me, Mr. Fishy herring snacks.
The functions of the universe and the solar systems and the Earth can be explained by natural processes. So there's no need for a god or a divine eternal being.
The "we can explain how things operate naturally" argument is a straw man. And a category error.
What do you mean?
Because theists do not argue that how the natural world functions cannot be explained by natural processes.
Then what is the argument? What is the problem?
The argument is that those processes do not account for themselves or speak to their origin.
That's the point. If you want to investigate how this process is started, you have to accept that they have their origins in other natural processes you might not know. If you think they started by magic or other supernatural crap, you won't get any closer to an answer. If you assume magic or miracles, you'd stop thinking about the answer.
Just like knowing how cars operate, does not mean that Henry Ford did not exist.
Oh great! It is that stupid inventor analogy. But you know that our knowledge of the existence of Henry Ford doesn't depend on the existence of cars. We know of his existence because of photographs of him or his signature on documents. Can you show such a thing as a confirmation for the existence of a god?
Okay, I think I understand what you mean. But I don't know if that is an honest analogy.
Why? Not complex enough?
Well, there is really no objective scale of complexity. So where is the point of complexity that marks all the things that were created? I mean, do you see anything in the universe that isn't complex enough to be created? So how can you know that something has to be created just because of its complexity? Complexity is not a hint for creation. If you are searching for such a hint, try to find God's signature. Such a thing would be impressive.
What about computers? Even Darwinists have tried to make analogies of Darwinian evolution and mutations with computer functions.
Okay. What about them?
Well, the point is that just like knowing how your Windows program operates, does not mean that it did not have, or need, an outside programmer.
Oh come on! We can watch people programming computer programs. But I never saw a guy walking around and building animals, plants, rocks, lakes, planets or galaxies. That's the point. It's not about complexity or the fact of existence. It's about the possibility to observe it.
Maybe there's a point. But then again, I mean, those are not really natural or biological things. Those are obviously just man-made devices. However complex or intricate.
If you object to those analogies because they are not biological organisms, you must realize that biological molecules and organisms are vastly more complex.
So?
And it is absolutely irrelevant how complex something is. Well, I think a creationist will never give up his only argument, even if he finds out that this argument is nothing more than nugatory rhodomontade.
Well, logically the implication is that they would still need an intelligent start to get the whole thing rolling in the first place. Not blind randomness or accidents.
Oh! Science is not talking about randomness or accidents. It is talking about scientific laws and processes causing phenomena like life or something.
Sometimes things do happen that way, especially when considering how much time would be given.
Blind undirected chance can't logically be considered in the formation of organized intricate life processes and efficiencies.
Oh yeah. I've heard of the creationists' comprehension of natural organization. God created grass to be eaten by the cow to give milk to humans, and humans to be thankful to God. But is there any need for God to create things like cholera, etc.?
Not really dumb. Natural laws are smart and logical.
I agree. Again, the straw man. Because that's not argued against. The question is, how did natural laws even get here in the first place?
Well, they just exist, naturally.
That's a dodge. You're evading and dodging the point.
So instead of believing in natural laws that were always there, you need the hypothesis of a divine dude that created these laws and, well, always has been there? Yeah. This explains everything. And even if there weren't any natural laws or some kind of existence, how could it be possible that there exists an intelligent being? Oh, incidentally, if there were.
Universes where the laws of physics were devised by the mind of a madman.
The population of this universes could have come to the conclusion that there were any kind of divine guy that made their universe. This shows that the way and fashion of the natural laws of our universe does not point to any kind of creator.
But where's the evidence, or I should say solid proof, for the biblical Jehovah? The God done it argument seems to be an easy way out cause of not understanding.
There are at the very least strong implications.
Well, of course. Science has found out recently that people are made of earth.
But there's no testable observable proof that there was a being who put it here deliberately. That's just assumed, simply because there's complexity in the universe and Earth.
There's no testable proof for undirected and blind chance, or that some dense dot of energy somehow decided to expand or explode and form stars from gas, which never happens today.
Well, we have come a long way in science without having to believe in gods, and we are optimistic that this will work in the future too.
We can't see this God, or study him scientifically.
Just because God cannot be fully understood does not mean he does not exist.
He didn't say that he can't fully understand God, but that God is invisible, untouchable, inaudible, odorless and insubstantial. The only way to experience God is in the heads of his believers. It is obvious that we have got doubts.
But it would be nice if there was actual observable proof in front of us that there's a God, or that he performs creative miracles.
The complex universe, its amazing laws and Earth must have gotten here somehow. With the complexity, it takes more faith to believe it got here blindly, with no conscious guidance or direction.
No, it doesn't. Let me teach you about Occam's razor. Occam's razor teaches us a lesson about the selection of hypotheses. The one with the fewest assumptions should be selected. Other, more complicated solutions may ultimately prove correct, but, in the absence of certainty, the fewer assumptions that are made, the better. So if we ask, for example, where human beings originally came from, we could say, without knowing anything about biology, chemistry or physics, that humans just always has been there. But then creationists came around and told us that God should have anything to do with it. And if you ask where God come from, you would get the answer, that he always had been there. But as long as we are unable to prove God, he is nothing more than an assumption. So he had to be thrown out of this. Time for Occam's razor. If you ask the question of the origin of humans, you would have to ask for the origin of human properties. There are some cultural properties, like intelligence for example, biological properties like metabolism or reproduction, and of course chemical properties and physical properties. The answer of origin in eternity is overloaded. But then we found some fossils, did some breeding experiments and genetic investigations, and found out that humans had an evolution and are derived from lowly living beings. Living beings have the same properties as human except of one. One property has been explained. The answer of origin in eternity isn't that overloaded anymore. But it's still a pile of shit to explain. Then we learned how atoms behave and what is needed to ensure that self-replicating molecules get formed. So we can learn how creatures arise by abiogenesis from dead matter. Matter has the same properties as life forms, except metabolism and reproduction. After discovering quantum physics, we knew that matter arose from energy. So we didn't had to think about chemistry anymore. This is the current state of knowledge. But if you want to put God in the remaining gap, you have to answer not only the question of the origin of physical properties. You have to open the chapters again you have already successfully closed. And besides, God has many more features than humans. Even if we knew nothing about the origin of man, or anything else, any explanation without a God would be preferable to the God hypothesis. The reason for this is because God would bring many incredible supernatural qualities that you also had to explain. God makes the question of the origin only more complicated, due to the fact that God can be proved by nothing, comes again Occam's razor to use. So you do not need more faith to reject creationism, than vice versa. You only need more knowledge. Let me ask another question. If this place is supposed to be an office, why do we have the time to discuss such a stuff? Isn't there any department manager wanting us to work?
Vermin. You're all vermin. You come in here and you eat filth.
Okay. I quit.